Well, hey everybody, welcome into another edition of TAW Live. My name is Tim, and let's talk about watches. Tonight we're going to welcome Ilan. He is, of course, the founder and CEO of both Gentleman's Warfare and Egard. We're going to delve into both brands tonight in some detail, including some very sought-after limited edition stuff. And the prices you're going to see tonight are remarkable, because a lot of the builds that they do, they go out at full boat all the time. And he's really stepped up, and for a 72-hour window beginning now, you guys have special discounts that you can't get any other way. We know this is the best pricing out there, bar none. But it is limited to the 72 hours. So just click the link, depending on how you're looking at us, device and so on, and whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. It's either going to be to the right or underneath. But you just click that, and you should be able to go immediately to the area that has all of the special pricing, the full list of the watches, and you guys can get going on that right away. First, I want to delve into a couple of things. I encourage all of you, if you haven't done so, to please join us via the email list. We're not going to spam you. We try to keep it to just one a day, and it is going to give you access to deals sometimes that are only in the email, a lot of times ahead of the general population, and so on. And it's also a great way to stay updated as we continue to expand our programming as to what's going on with our world. Another reason to be on that list is that you'll have access to the closed group on Facebook. And that's going to give you access to all of the deals ahead of everybody. Now, none of this is required, but it's all free, and we really like you to be a part of it. So join our list, join us over on Facebook, and have some fun with it. We encourage you to post a picture and engage in conversation and so on. Now, the other thing I need to mention here is that you can follow us not only on Facebook, but also on a lot of various social media. I encourage you to follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Google+. There's a lot of great options out there for you. We try to stay abreast of it. So if you've got a favorite social media, odds are we are a part of it too. So please join us via those mediums, and you'll get, of course, the updates in as close to real time as we can. Now, as we're getting into the watches tonight, I want to remind you that a great option for you is going to be PayPal credit, because once you qualify, you can have 6 months of no payments and no interest charge, and there's nothing down. And of course, a lot of you know the traditional 6-pay sort of an idea, right? Okay. If you want to do that, just take the asking price tonight and divide it up by 6 and do it once a month, and you're good to go. But this is far more flexible because there's nothing down, and if you want to double down in a month, you can, or if you want to skip a month, you can. And it really takes the watches like you're going to see tonight and make them absolutely affordable. Now, this option will be on the final checkout page with us. You'll just see, I think it's a little check box there. Do you want to be on PayPal credit? Hit that, and once you're qualified, you are good to go. So it's really that simple. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to be a member, if you want to call it that, or sign up for PayPal to do this. You just have to be able to qualify, and then you are good to go. So enjoy. All right, with that stated, let's get underway, and we're going to welcome Gentleman Warfare, Egard, and of course the guy that built all of it, Ilan, to the show. So hey everybody, as promised, Ilan is on the show, and he of course is synonymous with both Egard and Gentleman's Warfare. Ilan, first of all, thanks for being on the show, man. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. That's awesome.
I'm looking forward to doing a lot of shows with you. As you know, I'm a fan of your product, have been for a while. I think that maybe this is a good place to start. Let's talk about a little background, if we can, on Egard and on Gentleman's Warfare. One of the things I think was such a crowning achievement for you, or one of them, was you actually had a deal, and I think you still do, with William Shatner in one of your pieces.
Yeah, that piece is almost sold out. So we did a really cool run with him. We designed a watch together, and we ended up promoting it together. It was a collaboration, which actually ties into the whole theme of Egard specifically, because Egard, my first watch that I made was a tribute for my dad. I made a piece for him. I wanted to get him a really special birthday gift, and I went out looking for a watch. Every watch I liked. I had this whole thing with kind of architectural watches or depth to a watch. And one of the things I noticed was that all the watches that had depth to the dials were very expensive. So I set out to design one because I had a background in design. And so the whole company started off with this concept of tribute watches. And it's gone from there. So William Shatner was technically our second tribute watch, if my father was our first. And since then, I've even done another one with George St. Pierre. So that's kind of the theme of the company. So to make these unique watches that I've always said it. I don't think that people wear watches just to tell the time anymore. They wear them as a piece of jewelry or as a way to kind of express themselves. So that's the underlying theme.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was one of my earliest mentors, and this guy, and still is, was a major dealer for Patek Philippe and Vacheron and Breguet, and, a bunch of the ultra high ends. And he gave me this quote I'll never forget: was, "If it's over $50, it ceases to be about time."
Mhm.
And that really sums it up, because you've got it's collectible, or there's status, or there's an association with an event or a person, and so on. And they're amazing little guys. I mean, as I've talked about, wristwatches are portable mechanical devices that can actually tell you the passage of time. I mean, it's to this moment, it's a technical marvel, I think. I want to open, if we can, a little bit with the Gentleman's Warfare. And one of the reasons I want to open with this is, first of all, that I got to say, I think this is a huge amount of money for the dollar that you guys are asking for this piece.
Yeah, so essentially, the whole concept of Gentleman Warfare was to offer the same kind of design, and we do all our casework from scratch and all those benefits, and we do these limited runs, and to offer that in a collection that was even at a lower price, more accessible. And so they're primarily quartz watches, whereas the Egard is primarily automatic. But we do still put in the same effort into our cases, into our design, and into our quality control. And so they're inspired by a bit more of a classic. Egard, I make really crazy looking watches, I'd say. We have that oblong case. So a lot of the stuff with Egard is very branded to Egard. And I do get these other design ideas, and I felt it better to separate, so that I could have a different vision for Gentleman Warfare and kind of how the design goes there versus Egard and how the design progresses there. There are some crazy Gentleman Warfare pieces. We'll show a couple today, but there's also a lot of more classic looking ones.
So what's the first piece, the square one that you want to do today?
Okay, so the first piece is the V1 class. 165 is MSRP, and on the show we're doing it for 90. For this piece, we have the blue.
Mm-hmm.
We have it, and that's with a black strap.
Right.
Black strap. We use top grade leather for everything. This one has a white dial with a brown strap. This one's really, really classy.
That is sharp.
Yeah, it's just a very, very classy one. And then this one's really cool because you never see this. We made a really awesome gray dial.
Oh, that steel gray. That is stunning. Because they're all radiant dials, aren't they?
Yes.
It really plays with the light. I mean, this is, and obviously you guys can see the cutaway shots that we're doing here. You look at the way the light plays across these dials. This is real eye candy. It's done with a rich gem tone. Even that silver steel gray, there's a gem quality to it.
I've always been a fan of square case watches. I think there aren't that many of them in the market. There aren't that many that are done in a nice way. And there's, certain bold colors. A lot of people aren't going for bold colors. I'm a huge fan of blue. And so I decided to make a watch that was a little thinner. I can show it right here. Actually, I have it holding it. So right here, as you can see, it's just a very classic looking piece. Very thin, so it fits under the cuff, which is really nice. And just a really accessible, easy timepiece. This is actually one of the ones I wear more often than not, just because it's so easy to just throw on my wrist. It's not as heavy as some of the other pieces because of the thickness of the case. It's a lot thinner.
Right.
And just like the classic look, I can wear it. I like wearing this with a t-shirt, a white t-shirt, and jeans, or I can also dress it up. So it's just a very kind of multi-purpose watch, which I've enjoyed.
So this is for somebody who wants to check out the family of Gentleman's Warfare and Egard. This is the perfect affordable solution, obviously.
Yeah, this is a really nice entry watch. This would be the best priced watch you could get from either collection. And it offers a really, really nice look for that price. Again, I'm a huge fan of this style watch. I think everyone should have a square case watch in their collection, personally. And I've just always been a fan of them. So there's just something very clean and classic about that kind of style for me personally.
One of the things I love about square watches is that relatively few people seem to have them. And that's not a knock, far from it. I think it makes the wearer stand out immediately. Because I'm a big fan of what the industry calls the fancy cases. Because for those of you who don't know, in a nutshell, the reason that watches are round is that it's the easiest shape to make in a watch. And believe me, if everything could be easy in a triangle, everything would be a triangle. I mean, So when you guys are creating, you know what? Let's do a square watch. Let's do like we're going to show you guys one. I guess I almost want to call it almost like a teardrop shape or an egg shape that we're going to get to here in a few minutes. You guys are really breaking some molds and some traditions, and I think it's a wonderful thing. So the point is to get the fancy case and to get it with this level of engineering and design. To do it well under $100 is, especially with shipping included. I mean that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also don't realize a lot of companies will use factory-made cases, factory-made parts. They won't do everything from scratch. And one thing we actually do is make everything from scratch. So that does add cost. It was really, really hard to do this when we were doing only limited edition runs. With Gentleman Warfare, we put a lot of work into the cases to make them as nice as possible. Same case material you find on any higher-end watch. It's 316L stainless steel, and we actually treat our steel so that it has a really nice finish. So there is work that goes into these pieces. We work really, really hard on another thing that a lot of companies, might not spend as much time as we do on is getting the colors of the dials to really pop the way we do. And that's something, that really catches the eye. So I've always said that our pieces are the kind of pieces that if you're looking for something that people will notice, then our watches are something that will get you stopped. And people say, oh, that's a nice watch. Not everyone loves that, but these crazy case shapes and these strong colors are things that definitely get you stopped. Every time I've worn one of my watches into a watch store or just casually walking in, they stop me and notice the watch, or even just in general. And that's actually the most common feedback we get.
Yeah, as a designer and creator, for those of you who don't know, I mean, Ilan is the CEO, the founder, and a major contributor of both Egard and Gentleman Warfare. That's got to be, I think, a huge compliment for you. That the biggest feedback you get in your own personal experiences, people that I don't know this person, they just stopped, they had to compliment the watch, and I think it speaks not only to the quality, but also to the fact that what you build is really eye catching.
I think so. I think that's where most of our energy goes. We go into essentially we divide our time between making sure we have high quality products with good quality control. When you hold our watches, they feel very, very nice. And the rest of the effort goes into design. So I design everything myself. And I actually run every watch I make by my dad still till today. And I have to get his approval on them. So that's fine because, he's very honest about what he likes and doesn't like. So there's kind of a personal process. The reason I think the watches are different is because I design them because I want to wear them, or I want my dad to wear them. So I'm doing it from a completely personal place. I'm not doing it with the intention to sell it. I'm doing it with the intention that, I would love to have a watch like this, and I hope that I can, keep the business going by making it. I
think that's a great way to design products, because one of the faults that I find in design in general, obviously this is just personal opinion, but I think that the company or the designer that sets out to please everybody is ultimately going to create a mediocre product, at least aesthetically. I mean, mechanically you might do something that's intense, but if you're designing this so everybody is going to love it, I don't know that you can do that without sacrificing it at some point. And you don't. I think that's part of the brilliance of what you guys do is you build a watch and say, we build what we love, and we're very gratified that other people like it too, but it's okay if they don't. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's move to the next piece that you've got for us. Obviously, guys, you can just hit the link off to the side there as you're watching the show. And all of our product from both Egard and Gentleman's Warfare, it's available right now. You don't have to wait for us to air it. So just hit the link. It's either off to the right or below, depending if you're on a portable device or catching us via Facebook or YouTube. Okay, next one. What do you want to do?
I would love to go stick with Gentleman Warfare and do the next one, which is a little bit more of a crazier design.
All right, cool. Let's take a look at it.
Okay, so the Gentleman Warfare actually is legitimately the best price you're going to be able to find it at. And you're getting it from us with the warranty and everything, and it's, through you guys, so it's 100% perfect. The watch is going to come in perfect condition, everything. So this watch we're going to do for $300 is normally $450.
Nice.
And this watch is such a strong seller, and we're so low on inventory that we really don't typically even offer it anywhere discounted. So we have two colors of this one. And this is the V1 Gent. This is actually what launched I'm just winding it. So this one's an automatic.
Oh, this piece is so cool.
Yeah, this piece is awesome. So this is the V1 Gent Bronze. The back of these watches are crazy. We've done a lot of cool stuff on the back
It
of the
almost,
watch.
and this is just my take, it almost has like a steampunk sort of an appeal. If steampunk met the Old West or something.
It's 100% a steampunk style watch. This one has a very nicely domed sapphire crystal, modified Miyota, 8 to a 7. So it's a really nice watch. We put a lot of work again here into the cases. If you look at the crowns, they're very cool. They kind of got this old style crowns. That's what you were talking about, like that steampunk old style look.
Yeah. And
And
you
again,
combine that whole weathered finish thing is awesome.
Yeah, that's antique bronze. That's how we finish the watch. So again, there's some additional work there. I'm sorry if my computer's making a little bit of noise. It's one of the
No, we can't hear it at all, actually.
So this one's really, really cool. Again, I'm a huge fan of brown with a brown strap, like a brown dial bronze case and brown strap. This series is one of my favorite series out of any watch I've ever made. The case work on this one is incredible, and just the uniqueness of the timepiece. When you put it on your wrist, it's got like I don't know if you can see, but it's got this really, really cool look to it that just kind of really, really stands out. So again, this is one of those pieces that people will notice on your wrist. And it comes with all the technical stuff that you would love in a watch. Again, it comes with, sapphire crystal, so you're not going to worry about the crystal getting scratched. It has an automatic movement that's modified, which is very, very cool. The hands on here, everything is custom. So again, there's just so much attention to detail on this watch. It's a crazy watch.
I mean, there's two things to me that leap out immediately with this piece. One of them being the small seconds is moved away from the center, and the other is the offset window for the open heart complication.
Well, actually, even the small second hand's actually not even a hand on this watch. It's a rotating disc. So this was the first that inspired me to go to rotate. So it is offset. You're absolutely right. But it's actually a rotating disc. So we replaced all the hands except for the hour and the minute hand with rotating discs, which adds kind of a unique feel to the watch.
But I also think that backs up, though, because I'm such a fan of steampunk. I should probably just put a disclaimer out there. If it's steampunk, I'm definitely going to give it a second and third look. And I love the substitution from the traditional hand to go to a rotating disc. And I know we're going to look at that on another product today as well. And this is, for lack of and it's an overused term, but it's applicable. This is a really cool build from you guys.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Legitimately one of my favorites. And I mean that in all honesty. It's also casual. So again, it has like a very, very fun daily wear kind of look. So, some of the other pieces are very dressy or high end looking. This one kind of still has that, you can wear it every day and it won't get old on your wrist. And it just really looks nice. And I mean, we put so much attention to detail in this watch, from every aspect of it, from the crown to the case back. So there's just so much stuff that went into this one. Again, it's not too thick, which I like, because this one, if you're wearing it every day, you want a piece that's going to feel really comfortable on the wrist. The only time we do go thick with the watch is on the oblong cases, because they wrap there is another option. It's called stealth. Again, some people are like a little bit more understated. If I would wanted to get something that wouldn't necessarily cause as much of attention on your wrist, this one's a little bit more low key, just because black doesn't pop the same way as bronze and brown and the brown strap. Although it is a little bit more kind of sleek and sporty. So it really depends on the look you're going for. I'd say if you want something that is a little different and more steampunkish and a little bit crazier looking, the bronze is something that'll stand out more.
Oh, yeah. If you're going steampunk, there's got to be a bronze something. There's got to be a valve or a case or something, or it just isn't steampunk. By the way, I want to get your thoughts on this, and we can move to our next piece. But that vertical texture you did on the dial on that piece, I think is really cool.
I was about to talk about that. That's actually on all of them, and it only is visible depending how the light catches it. So it has like a shimmer to it, which really makes the dial pop. One of the nice things about this is you could be walking with it, the light could hit it a certain way, and the whole dial will just kind of shimmer across, and that'll really, make it look like something special. It also has a very, very cool slight distortion at extreme angles, because the crystal is, again, this is the cool thing to do, is very slightly domed.
It's domed. Which, for those of you who don't know, and remember, this is sapphire, it costs more to make a domed crystal versus the flat, which is why, again, if you look at watches overall in the industry, you tend to see more flat than than domed, price point notwithstanding. So again, it's a nice little upgrade that you kind of sneak into the design. I appreciate it. I love the texture on this. And you guys watching this, and guys and girls watching this tonight across the United States, you are going to love this. Remember, and I should have mentioned this earlier, so I'll get to it now. Everything that we're doing tonight with Egard and with Gentleman's Warfare, 72 hours from the time this airs live. Now, obviously, some of you are going to be watching this with video on demand or whatever. So the clock is clearly ticking for you guys. Well, it's ticking for everybody. But if you're watching this in real time, this is the best time to act, because I absolutely know that we have all the color options. And again, the prices, which, by the way, I believe I'm correct in saying are going to be pretty much the best out there right now. We've really worked hard on this. So you guys are getting, which is part of our mission, as you know, at TAW. We consistently will, whenever possible, get absolutely the best price. And not only is this the best price, this includes shipping. So very cool, but please act quickly on this one. All right, let's do this. Ilan, let's go ahead and move to the next piece, please.
So this one, we actually, because we're so limited on supply, we're just doing the rose
Awesome.
today.
Okay.
And it's normally $455, and I think we can go with this one. I'll go crazy and I'll do it for $300 for a very limited time for that 72 hours.
Cool. Thank you.
We were talking about making crazy watches. This one's definitely among the top of the list for craziest watches that we've ever made. Very, very classy looking. It's called the Qantas. This is the second edition of the Qantas. So the first edition did so well that I looked into upgrading it and continuing the run, and we did the Qantas V2. And actually, this one's inspired by the Tzolk'in calendar, Mayan, and into the Aztec. So this one's a very, very unique piece. It's got a dual balance wheel, so you can see those two wheels are spinning down there. Again, it takes the rotating disc kind of design philosophy that I've implemented in the V1 Gent, and it applies it here as well. This is the example of our oblong case that you were talking about.
Right, right. So is there a term you have for that shape? I mean, I just kind of randomly, call it, it's teardrop, or it's sort of an egg shape, but is there a term for it?
Well, right now I'm calling it I typically just refer to it as the oblong case, but when it came out, the first watch we did this on was the Passages watch. And we nicknamed it the conform case because it conforms to your wrist.
Nice.
So it just wraps to your wrist. So if you look right there, you'll see there's no space between the watch and my wrist because of the curve. The whole case itself is actually curved. And so a lot of people have actually commented that it doesn't matter the size of your wrist just because of the shape of the lugs and the case itself are curved, and in that unique shape, it just kind of conforms to your wrist and gives it a really, really nice feeling. So there's so much going on with this piece that it's hard to even cover all the technical details. This one has, so what we did to upgrade from the first from the first Qantas edition was we made it a two-piece case. So actually the lugs and the bottom of the case are one piece, and the top of the case is the second piece. And that's a lot more work, but it provides better finishing, and the case is better protected, and it's just an overall higher quality case in this shape, which was a lot of work, because one of the things that comes with this case shape, which is you won't find this, exact case shape on any other brand, is this crazy sapphire crystal, which is curved direct.
Wow.
Direct. So it's a two-sided curved sapphire crystal in a non-traditional shape. So it's not a circle, it's not a square, it's not a, like I said, even a triangle. It's this crazy oblong shape or teardrop shape, but it's also curved down the middle on both sides. So the curve, it's actually doing a wrap, the sapphire crystal. Again, that gives like a really cool distortion as you come to these angles. This is one of the main things that people love about this watch. The other thing is the dual balance wheels. We took this movement in-house and we reworked it completely, disassembled it. It's a manual wind movement. We replated it, so it's got that cool gunmetal and some other finishes on the movement. We modified it to be able to sustain the weight of the discs, which was an additional feature. The dial has so many textures to it, carbon fiber. So there's just so much going on this watch. Again, it's also limited edition, and another beautiful feature is the back of the watch. I'm trying to show it here, but it's got this crazy Tzolk'in calendar, and it's all engraved and a ton of detail, and just adds another unique, and you also limited edition numbering down there. So it gives you another unique.
Compliment you for a second. I love that you're doing the really intense, detailed case backs, because I think that's become a lost art, because the pendulum swung so far to where everything had to be an exhibition back that I think that the art of the case back has been lost, and it's really great to see someone like yourself that's bringing this back to the forefront.
the back of this watch is like an engraved painting. That's kind of the theme here, so that you know it's there. You can take it off and you can look at it, and it adds a lot to the watch. That there's something super super artistic on the back of it, in my opinion. It comes with a butterfly,
Nice.
which we love. Yeah, and these are really really high end.
Yeah, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, the butterfly or the deployment clasp is a preferable option when you have it on a leather strap because it greatly extends the life of the leather. You don't have that whole flexing thing going on like a belt buckle. And not only is it very sleek to get on and off, it's frankly faster. Plus, once you set it up, it's perfect every time. But it's better for the strap. Everybody wins on that.
Yeah, everybody wins. I mean, this leather is also incredibly high quality, incredible quality. What we did was we actually thickened it near the lugs, and then it comes in tapers.
Yeah.
It gets a little thicker so that it fits on the wrist better, and that's something that a lot of people have actually noticed wearing it and commented on. Also, our buckle, just as an aside, is extremely high quality. A lot of people don't do these as well as us, and that's something you feel when you have it in hand. It just feels very, very, very high end, this watch.
When you're getting into the details, and I do want you absolutely to keep going here, but one of the things that I love is that we delve into this because it's our network and we can do what we want, is we can really get into the design aspect of this. And people, it's a fair question, and you probably get this too, I know I do, is like, why do watches cost what they cost? And of course, there's not a small answer to that. There's a lot of factors. But when you look into what a luxury watch brings to the table, just look at this one, all right? Where you've got the custom back, you've got this custom crystal, which is incredibly expensive to build, and then you look at things like tapering the strap, not from side to side, but from the thickness, purely done for the comfort. Well, I can't say purely, it's for the comfort and also the aesthetics. This is what a very fine design in a wristwatch can bring to a collector.
Yeah, I don't know many people at this price point, many companies that would number one, do this level of detail.
Right.
And number two, bring the movement in-house, replate it, rework it, make a crystal like this. There's just so many unique features on this set. I don't believe that it's possible to find these specific features on another watch in this price. I just genuinely don't believe that at this quality. So, or at any quality, to be honest. I just don't think there's any watch that looks like it's anywhere near our price point. Number one, it takes us forever to build. I'm not going to lie, it's such a time-consuming watch to make, and it really does move in terms of, at full price, you'll have no problem paying for it.
One thing I wanted to go over, because I'm not sure if we did it or if I just drew a blank for some reason, is actually the how it tells the time with the dials.
So what you rely on is this little marker up here at the 12 o'clock position, and essentially the discs are rotating clockwise, so you just look at the number previous to them. So at this exact moment, I can't really tell by looking at
about 6:45 right now.
5:45, because it would be.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yep. 5:45. Gotcha.
It's just backwards because you're seeing it on camera, I think. But it would be coming up to 6 o'clock.
Yep.
So as it approaches 6, that's how you would tell time. Yeah, it's very simple.
I love watches that really they reinvent. They find new or different ways to express time. I just think it's really cool and it's different, and it's something that shows that whoever creates it is not content with the status quo, and that's why I look for them and I collect them. Again, guys, as you're watching this, everything is immediately available. Just look for the link. Depending on your device, it'll either be off and usually to the right, otherwise below. And all of the show special pricing, which for both Egard and Gentleman's Warfare is only 72 hours from the time this first broadcast live. So if you're watching VOD, this might have a considerably shorter time span. See where I'm going. But the point is, you just hit that link. You don't have to wait for it to air, and everything, the full list, all the watches, special prices, is going to be there. Okay, let's take a look at the next piece.
Okay, well, this is, I think, the final one we're showing today. And this one is really cool. This is the collaboration we did with George St. Pierre from the UFC. MMA icon and legend. One of my favorite fighters of all time, if not my favorite fighter. So that was really really awesome to be able to do. Well, the MSRP is $950, and again, we're going to do a temporary drop with you guys at $650 just for the 72 hours.
So how did you become involved with all that? I mean, I'm always curious as to the backstory.
Well, I actually used to train at TriStar Gym.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been doing martial arts my whole life. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai since I'm a little kid. I had a jiu-jitsu school that I was teaching at. So I've been a huge fan of martial arts, and I've actually trained with him when he was earlier on in his career. And I just reached out just to see if there was any possibility whatsoever of him even. The only way I'll do a tribute watch is if there's a genuine interest. So we have to partner on it, design it. And so that's the type of thing that they have to really want to do. It's not the type of thing that I do because I'm, again, trying to just push something. I want to do it because it's a passion project for both myself and for the person I'm doing it with. So he was just super into the idea. And he's just such a humble, sweet guy and was so interested that it kind of just pushed me to really want to make it as good and as fast as possible for him.
Sure.
So we set out to do that. And he had some really cool input, and there's a lot of little unique things on this watch. I can tell you some funny stories, like the Superman punch on the back of the case. Again, you're talking about a crazy case here. You have his signature. You have the Superman punch embossed. You have all this other information here. You have the limited edition numbering. It's a very cool watch. This, again, uses, our two-piece case. The amount of complications on this watch are crazy. So one of the things he wanted was a fleur-de-lis on the crown, because he's from Quebec, and so we there's little design features that he was so into. He loved the idea of the discs, the rotating discs. So this entire watch is rotating discs. This was a hassle to make. The first 2 rounds of watches, the movement, because we're using a Miata 9100, which is just awesome movement.
Yeah, it is.
In my opinion, it's one of the best movements available in that price point, unless you go completely in-house and go crazy. This is one of the best movements you can get in terms of complications, in terms of function, in terms of durability, accuracy. It's just because it's a newer movement, and Miata did a really, really, really good job with this movement. So I've been waiting to use it. And again, we modified it because it wasn't able to sustain the weight of these discs, and these are layered discs. So the amount of detail, again, that went into this piece is absolutely crazy. This is the only piece to date I've made that is more complex to make than the Qantas. So there's a ton of features on this. You have your time is told through these rotating discs.
Right.
You have a date feature, a month feature, a power reserve, an AM/PM indicator. You have a curved sapphire crystal. Again, you have carbon fiber, little circles there on the bottom just to highlight, and you have that same texture that we were talking about on the Gentleman Warfare. You have that same straight line background on the dial. You have the sapphire crystal on the back on the small display there.
Oh, that's cool. So both front and back are sapphire.
Always. I never put sapphire on the front and not use it. If there's a display on the back of a watch for us, like on the Gentleman Warfare that I showed previously, or on this, it will be sapphire crystal.
That's really cool because, as you know, a lot of watch companies will, do sapphire top and then they'll throw mineral on the back.
Yeah, absolutely. And they still advertise it as sapphire crystal because the top,
which is technically true if you ignore half the watch.
Yep. So I was not willing to do that.
Good for you, man. That's a beautiful thing.
There is such an abundance of work that went into this watch. I cannot even begin to tell you.
I'd like to delve into that a little bit. Let's do, because we can take our time with this, and I really want to delve into this watch. Sure. So you have the concept to build this. For somebody not familiar, they're just starting to get into watches. What are some of the challenges? Because you don't do cookie cutter, you don't do off the shelf. So what are the challenges you have to overcome to create something like this?
Well, I do everything. So I start doing everything. I stencil things out. I just kind of draw them out, kind of concepts and designs. Then I always develop my watch around a movement I want to work with so that I can build it out from there. And I think about unique ways I can modify the movement or play with the movement so it's not generic in terms of how it's used. So I always start from that kind of base. And I build a case around that. I build the dial around that. I build all the stuff around that. But a lot of the time it's not necessarily possible until I start engineering it. So what I'll do is I'll go into 3D software or computer.
Yeah, like an AutoCAD or whatever.
I actually use Maya. I've kind of been using a software called Lightwave lately a lot more just because it's a little bit, for weird reasons, I just enjoy it. I don't know why. But so I use these softwares to design the watch. And then I get a full rendition, computer-generated rendition of the watch. I can actually check the proportions, see what's going to fit where, see if there's room for the hands. In this case, I could have never anticipated the issues we were going to have because they're weight issues. And I just didn't anticipate that layering the discs in this way would be so complicated and put weight on the movement itself. So we had to figure out ways around that. It takes a certain amount of energy so these some, like, the discs work differently. So I'm going to try and show this as accurate as possible. There's some that are rotating like the time consistently, and then there's some that are snapping. I don't know if you can see that change right there. Can you see it? It might be hard to see.
The day of the week is changing.
The month is changing.
I'm sorry, the month.
So that's a, that functions differently than something that's constantly rotating. We're having like these little problems with it snapping back and all these crazy little things that we have to work on. There's also just, again, there's so many little features on the dial that it takes a lot more work to make sure everything is applied properly and holds up and can pass shock testing and all that stuff. When you're making a watch that is just, 3 hands, a flat dial, circular case, it's totally different than trying to do something that is, typically never been done before. There's no reference for how to do a watch like this. We have to just test it over and over and over and correct the mistakes we make. So a lot of the time I hear people say, oh, well, I can get a watch with a 90-100 Miyota for, less or whatever. And I'm like, well, it's not just that. Number one, we modify the movement. We have, this crazy crystal, this crazy, all these features. Then we have to do testing on those things, which takes a lot more time, and prototypes that fail. So I've done both style watches. I've done, cleaner, simple watches. The amount of work that goes into the ones that have never been done before.
Well, you make a really great point. I'm glad we're getting into it because it's a fair question, especially I think for someone getting into watches when they go, okay, so you've got a Miyota 9000 series, but I also saw it over in this other thing and it cost X and you want Y. But I think the connoisseur of wristwatches is someone that's more inclined to gravitate to what you've done because, to your point, so much of this is custom. You've got custom sapphire front and back. The back is entirely custom. The wheel assembly to create, which before digital was usurped by the computer industry, this was referred to as a digital because of the rotating disc with all the numbers. This is not an apples to apples comparison. You're not saying, well, yeah, they got to move it and put it in, and I just got to move it and put it in, and I'm just randomly charging more for no reason. This is vastly different with what you've been able to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, even the quality in terms of the engravings we do and embossings we do on the back of our watches. These are things that a lot of time, the finishing of the case, a 2-piece custom-made curved case. Again, the sapphire crystal to be the shape it is, the engineering we put into making sure that each watch doesn't have space between your wrist and the bottom of the case to get it perfect with the lugs and the amount of iterations we have to make on these things. I mean, there's an absurd amount of work that we put in, but it's one of those things that's impossible to see until you feel the watch and you go, wow, this really does feel different. And it really does feel high end. But I mean, you can just look at it and see how different it looks than other watches. That obviously takes a certain amount of effort and time, and so that's just the reality of it.
Well, let me interject and we can kind of wrap things up here. But I want to go over, first of all the special pricing that we're doing, and there's quite a bit of it going on today. All of the special pricing is good from 72 hours from the time that this show first airs. So if you're watching live at this point, well, some of them are kind of getting down there now, but right now we do have, to my knowledge, all the color options and everything available. If you're watching this in video on demand, maybe we do and maybe we don't. So just click the link. It's either to the right or underneath, depending on the device. You can check out the full series. Let's go over the price on this very quickly because I want to emphasize that all the special pricing is the 72-hour window.
Yes. So you want me to run through each one by one?
Please, yes.
So we have V1 class, and this one is normally retail $165. We're going to do it for $90. Then we have the V1 Gent in 2 colors. The last one we had in 3. This one is normally $450. We're doing this one for $300, which is crazy. And then we have the Qantas V2.
Beautiful.
And this one's $455. This is really a stunning watch. Yeah.
It is, and I love the dual escapement.
Yes.
Every watch guy's going to freak on that. That is such a cool look.
Yeah, it's a really unique watch. Yeah, it's among the most unique that we offer, I think. And this one again is $455. We're doing it for $300. Okay, and then we have the George St. Pierre. This was still even. These are the original prototypes, and this one is normally $950, and we're going to do it for $650.
Guys, again, the special pricing, as I've talked about, this is 72 hours from the time this first airs. Please take advantage of this. At the conclusion of 72, it does go back to the full price, which, in candor, a lot of these watches in general market from both Egard and Gentleman Warfare, they command full price. So Ilan's been very much a partner with us today, and he's really stepped up and has given you guys quite a price break. Ilan, thanks for being on the show, man. I appreciate this. Truly. Thank you.
I appreciate it. It was a great time talking.
Thank you so much. And we'll do more with both Egard and Gentleman's Warfare as we continue to move through the year. My name is Tim. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you back real soon for another edition of TAW Live.